So I was 19 years old at the time, and it was time to sell my first car ever. This is the car that, I had since I was 16. I've modified it, I've put my time, effort, money, everything into it. And it was time to sell it because it was just causing a bit too many problems. And this was a 2007 Mazda 3. And it was also like a manual, so it was fun to drive and everything. But it was time to upgrade. I was gonna get a new car, and I just thought it's time to sell. And how did this process go? Well, not how I expected it at all. So first off, of course, I thought, what should I do? I should list the car on Kijiji or whichever online marketplace. And people, some people started writing, I wanted $2,000 for it. That's how much I thought it was worth at the time. In 2016, I bought it for $4,000. I think it was worth $2,000 at the time. Anyway, of course, people started writing, people were asking me, and here's the interesting thing that happened. So some people would inquire and they'd say, all right, I'm going to come check it out. Let's meet at 7 p.m. on a Saturday. I'm like, all right, I book the time off of work. I find somebody to cover my shift. And as you may have expected, nobody showed up. Nobody showed up. And these people just stopped replying. And this has happened so many times. And I've lost so much money because I wasn't working. I had to book all these days off. I had to be there. And then I was waiting for someone and they didn't show up. And of course, some people would show up, but afterwards they would give some kind of excuse. Maybe they found a better car, maybe they found a better deal. I get it, it's fine. This is just the process of selling a car, and I didn't know it. But that's not where it was that actually bad. And so I understood that a lot of people wanted the car safetied. Now, safety, in Ontario, safety means the car it has this little paper that says it's good to drive on the road, and it's required if you're trying to sell a vehicle. So it requires a safety paper, and it has all sorts of stats. Like, it cannot have rust, it has to have certain metrics, whatever. I'm not a mechanic. And I was like, all right, let's get it safetied because this is something people want. And if I can say it's safetied, people will actually be more willing to buy it because it shows that it's been approved, that, they're not going to have big issues with it right off the bat, at least. And I took it to a mechanic, someone that I knew, but they did not have, of course, the right license to give me a safety paper. I had to do that somewhere else. And they're like, okay, fix this, 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 and that. Otherwise, it's good to go. I looked at the paper with all the metrics. It ticks every box. Myself and my dad at the time, we replaced the brakes. We changed a bunch of things. It wasn't even that crazy. And I took it to Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire is this large auto shop, whatever you want to call it. They also fix cars. I used to take my car there even though I kept getting scammed, but that's besides the point. This was the biggest scam of them all. I said, hey, I need my car safetied. Can you get me the paper? Everything should be good on that car. The paper that they would give to you is a document that costs about $200. All right, they take it in, and finally it's my turn. I was waiting there, kind of like a worried mother waiting for her son in the hospital. It's like super, I'm like, okay, what are they going to find? The guy comes back to me, says, yeah, everything is pretty much good. Before we go ahead and safety it, we'll just need to fix up a couple things. I'm like, huh, interesting. All right. Like maybe something I didn't notice. And they give me a $2,000 bill. Now, bill as in, it's not something I have to pay because they didn't do it yet. I never gave them the permission. It's just I'm gonna have to pay $2,000 in repairs to then get it safetied. And I was like, all right, what is this about? And they're like, your brakes are bad. So it's this, and I'm sure some of you guys have had this experience, but this predatory, whatever you want to call it, shops, mechanics, salespeople who make commission off of this, who see a young teenager who probably doesn't know shit or doesn't know any better, and they think they can just scam you as far as possible. And this guy's looking at me in the face and saying, you need new brakes. And I'm standing there like, I don't even have the communication skills to battle this guy, to tell him like, no, I have new brakes. And yeah, so I was like, well, how is that possible? I just didn't know what to say. I was like, no, I don't need new brakes. But how are you going to argue with a certified mechanic, right? Or the certified salesman at the front counter, right? I was like, I literally bought new brakes from you guys 2 weeks ago, and me and my dad installed them. And they're like, oh, okay, let me just go take a look. That's what the mechanic said. Comes back later, all right, no, your brakes are bad. And here's the thing, like, you don't need to be an expert to understand when someone's lying to you or when this, you did something wrong. And there was a bunch of other repairs. Brakes were by far the most expensive. Brake rotors and brake pads, that runs you quite a bit, and that's what it was. Among other repairs. But I just didn't know what to say, and this guy just kept pushing it. He's like, no, you need new brakes. And I was like, I can't agree to this. There's no way I can't agree to this because I just paid for it. I just got it done. In fact, one of the brakes was done by you guys because I didn't have the time to do it, so I actually brought it over and you guys installed it. It was your company. Part of them I did myself, part of them it was you guys. And the guy's like, all right, I'll bring you in. He brought me over into the shop with my car on the hoist, up in the air with my wheels off, and he showed me, all right, here it is. And I'm like, what? These are brand new brake pads. Like, they're brand new. They're thick. They're really thick. And he's telling me, no, they're done. And I just don't understand. The level of confidence and the fact that he's just saying this to a young kid, I could never bring myself to say that to someone. And he's like, no, they're done. And after arguing with him back and forth, he was like, all right. Actually, hold on a second. Oh, no. They're installed. They're inside out. They're inside out. And yes, I'm telling you all this backstory because this all leads to this one really, really important moment. But that's like the dumbest shit he's ever said to my face. Worse than the fact that they're old brakes. They're inside out. You cannot install brakes on a car inside out. It is impossible. I don't know, maybe there's models that you can, but they only go in a certain way. In fact, if I somehow managed to get them in backwards, I would have heard it. I would have felt it in the car. I'm like, yeah, these grooves go in here, correct? No. All right, I've had this checked by mechanics, by me, by my dad. In fact, one of the wheels was done by your guys. How are they inside out? I realized this guy's just, there's no arguing with him. He's wants me to pay all that money because they're holding it over you. Like, hey, you want the safety paper, you want to sell your car, let us fix your car even though there's nothing wrong with it. Classic. I was working a minimum wage job. I was working at Subway and I was working part-time aside from school. So I was saving up all this money, and it's not easy because after school you have homework and everything, and you go there and you work minimum wage, and how are you supposed to deal with this? And so I remember just getting into this altercation, and I'm not a very confrontational person at the time, at least. And I told him, no, just take it off. I'm not doing it. I didn't know what to do, and so I just said, just take it off. I'll have to think. And then I saw the car back at in their parking lot, and that's the big breakthrough. I went in my car, I sat there, and I was like, this is the worst shit ever. The amount of emotions I felt in that moment is undescribable. I was at the same time pissed off, like out of my mind, and at the same time felt bad and then sad, and it was just everything. And I wanted to punch this guy in the face. All this combined, and I thought, why do I have to deal with this? Like, why? And this was like the first time you really get a taste for real life, that there are people genuinely out there to get you but not to help you. You think, why would this guy lie to me? Like, why? I'm just trying to sell my car. I don't have anywhere else to go. I don't know any other place that would get me the safety paper, and I don't know any local mechanics that have the license that also will not try to scam me. I just didn't know. And I thought this situation sucks because if I repair this right now and then I sell the car, I gain nothing. And it's just so shit. And this is all over $2,000. And I remember thinking at the time, I never, ever, ever want to deal with this ever again in my life. Like, ever. Why are there people who make so much money that they wouldn't even think twice about this? The guy asked for 2,000, you said, okay, whatever. Maybe you got scammed, but $2,000 is just worth nothing to you. That you're never even gonna give it a thought. I wanted to be in that position. In that moment, I just hated everything so badly. The fact that this is all happening. Why is selling a car such a bad process? And I'm gonna end up negative after anyway. It was just a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. And I just told myself that, no, moving forward, I will never ever deal with such ridiculous issues, small level financial problems ever again, no matter what. And to this day, this is probably 7 years later, to this day, we're still on track. And that's one of the things that has changed the trajectory of my entire life, because it was one of those moments that it's just like, fuck this shit. Fuck living like this. I absolutely hate this. And it didn't just end there, of course, because I decided not to sell my car and I was going into dealerships to get a new one. And I thought I could just trade it in, because at least trading it in would be easier and I wouldn't have to deal with any of this and I would still get some money for it. And one of the first salesmen we met, that was me and my dad there, we were shopping for cars. I said, I have a car and I want to trade it in. This way it can at least count towards a down payment or something like that, reduce my payments, get some money out of it. And this guy was very nice. He was very chill. He was like, oh, of course. Yeah, let's take a look at your car. We're going to appraise it. We're going to take a look. Comes back and says, all right, yeah, so here's what you can do. So for your car, this one road, right? Yeah, so I'm like, yeah. So, okay, so you take this one road. You go all the way to the end. It's a little bit out of the city. I'm like, all right, I'm following. And then you turn right. And as you turn right, you're going to see this large sign that says scrapyard. And I was like, all right, now I'm not following. I'm like, scrapyard. And he's like, take it there and they might give you some cash for the metal parts of your car. I was just like, no way this guy just said that. No way in hell this guy just basically told me, yeah, your car's shit, it's useless. And hey, maybe it is. It is not. It's a pain in the ass for them to deal with. Maybe it is. But a potential buyer, you're just outright shitting on it like that. Like, you never, and this is my first car. Like, I was a little bit attached to it too. I was like, no way you just said to my face. Like, I was about to punch him right there. Like, no way. And he was fully serious. I was like, you can't be serious. I was like, no way. Seriously? Like, you want me to take it to a junkyard? That's your solution? And he's like, yeah, they might give you something for it. I don't know. It's not worth anything. And obviously they use this as a way to leverage their negotiations so that they can make more commission without having to give you even something for it. Anyway, the rest of the story doesn't really matter. I ended up getting a new car, and this car was a trade-in for $500. Whatever, it's better than going negative after that. And it was at a different dealer anyway. But the entire process was so disgusting, and I see this is why people hate salesmen. I was also a salesman at one point, so I get it. And I see this is why people hate salesmen. This is why also it sucks to deal with these financial issues where people are trying to scam you and you don't even have the extra playroom. It's like, I'm working hourly minimum wage. This is my time, and you just want my time like that, my condensed time and energy. You just want it because you want to make a paycheck. Insane. And I know a lot of other people have had this, and these moments happen in our lives when, let's say, you get cheated on. Completely changes you as a person, right? Or you're overweight and you're bullied for that. Or you're underweight and you're bullied for that. It could be anything. Being really embarrassed. Having your girl taken from you, as a guy. That's crazy. Being broke. Once again, that's like the worst thing. A lot of these moments really show us, it's like a punch in the face, but also if you use it right, it sets you on the right track. you'll get there, you know? And this forever has changed my trajectory. And I was like, I'm glad that happened, because as bad as it was, I would have never had a strong enough reason to keep going all this time to this day. This is just one of those reasons. There's many, 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 but this is just one of those things that just keeps you going. It's not like I'm stuck there holding a grudge. It's more like it's a nudge in the right direction. Thanks for listening.